Welcome into Dolphins Today. I am your host, Jake Riepma, and so glad to have you along for another edition of Dolphins Today. We've got a lot to get to today, starting with the latest injury report out of Miami in preparation for the Week 5 matchup against the New York Football Giants. And look, I think you and I could go out there and beat the Giants. They are so decimated at this point. However, it is important to note who the Dolphins will be without this week. And already, we thought it would be this way, but Terron Armstead has been ruled out. Now, Mike McDaniel did say he's not ready to put Armstead on the IR, but he left that game against the Buffalo Bills in the second quarter, did not return. It's a knee injury. Armstead missed the first two games of the season, played in Week 3 and Week 4, well, part of Week 4 before leaving against the Buffalo Bills, and now has been ruled out for the foreseeable future, including, of course, the Week 5 game against the New York Football Giants. Now, some exciting news. We could be nearing the return of Nick Needham. Remember, he went out with that torn Achilles a while ago, and today marks his first return to the Dolphins practice, albeit it was a limited participant in practice, but he's been inactive all season long. And look, we know this Dolphins secondary could use some help, absolutely. So that might be a welcomed addition to the Dolphins secondary if and when Needham is ready to go. I personally don't necessarily think it's going to be Week 5 right away, but of course, seeing him return to practice is a welcome sign. Now, we talked about this a few days ago, but this was the first tweet regarding Terron Armstead's status and officially being ruled out by Mike McDaniel. He's been quoted as saying it's going to be weeks, not days, with Terron Armstead. But as I mentioned, he's still not ready for Armstead to go on IR, but we can declare that, in fact, Terron Armstead's not going to play on Sunday against the Giants. So Kendall Lamb will play in his place, and make no mistake about it, yes, Armstead's the all-pro tackle and has been phenomenal. He was doing cartwheels in that win against the Denver Broncos. It helps when you put up 70 points. But without Terron Armstead, Kendall Lamb has filled in admirably. However, on Sunday against the Bills, nobody played well. It was the worst game of the season by far for this Dolphins offensive line. They allowed the 4 sacks. They'd only allowed 1 sack in the season prior to that game against the Buffalo Bills, and that encompasses the first 3 games. So 1 sack in 3 games, 4 sacks in 1 game. Not great. Tua was hit 9 times, also a season high, and the 5 tackles for loss. The Bills were in the backfield seemingly all afternoon. Now, I don't want to go crazy and start pointing the finger of blame, but I'd rather shed some light on how well Kendall Lamb has played in filling in for Terron Armstead. He's been one of the highest graded offensive linemen on Pro Football Focus, in particular in the pass game, which would be a welcomed addition to this Dolphins offense, because obviously, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face, this Dolphins offense is predicated around keeping Tua Tagovailoa clean, keeping the defense out of the backfield, giving him time to throw, and then everything flows like magic to the tune of 70 points against the Denver Broncos and being the number 1 scoring offense in the National Football League. So there are some holes, as we saw in Buffalo, and when that offensive line is exposed, listen, it's not great. So I ask you, let me know in the comments, what is your concern level with this offensive line? Scale it for me 1 through 10, because at times I think you'd be warranted to put a 10. But at other times, I think you could say, listen, Kendall Lamb as a backup, Isaiah Wynn, all those guys, Connor Williams, there were some questions around him. They've all played pretty well, and of course, until the Buffalo game. So let me know in the comments, be honest, scale it for me, 1 through 10, your concern of the offensive line. Now, that Dolphins offensive line depth chart. Terron Armstead, we know, let's work our way left to right, is going to be replaced by Kendall Lamb. Again, we mentioned he's been one of the best replacements at the offensive line position, in particular in pass blocking. He's been really good. Connor Williams up front, also been really good. Without him, they certainly missed him at that center position because in week 4 against the Bills, it was Liam Eichenberg filling in. And I don't want this to come across personal towards Liam Eichenberg, but he just simply was not good enough. On the right side, Robert Hunt and Austin Jackson have both played well and well enough to believe in this Dolphins offensive line, especially as it relates to Connor Williams. So look at that Pro Football Focus grade. Right at an 80, he's been one of the better offensive linemen, and in his absence on Sunday against the Buffalo Bills, it was so painfully obvious how much this Dolphins team depends on Connor Williams at the center position because his replacement, Liam Eichenberg, again, I'm not lambasting the guy. I have nothing against him personally. He just was not good enough. Take a look at this tweet from Dolphin Nation. Liam Eichenberg has a pass pro grade of 10.6. And unfortunately, that's out of 100. 10.6, which is ranked 44th out of 44 centers. The second lowest on the list is Michael Dieter at 28. That said, it's egregiously bad. And it's inexcusably bad. And again, nothing against the guy. He's just not good enough to play in the National Football League. So Connor Williams is paramount to the success of this Dolphins offensive line, both because he's been playing well and counterpoint, his replacement, he ain't that good. He stinks, as some would say in this office. Not great. So again, nothing personal against the guy, just hasn't been good enough. And if you want your offense to continue to thrive, continue to be the top scoring offense in the National Football League, we got to do better than Liam Eichenberg at the center position. Now, coming up on Dolphins Today, the team made a couple of roster moves, and I think it's worth mentioning, so we'll get into all of that. But first, I want to tell you about Game Time, proud sponsor of today's show, huge supporter of Dolphins Today. And look, it's the only ticketing app I use for live events. I was using it way before I came to Chat Sports, from where, whether I'm on the road, whether I'm getting the guys together for a last minute ordeal, Game Time has the best seats available, best price, even if it's last minute day of. And I also love the app. Super easy to use. Some of those apps give you kind of like a rendering or just a diagram of where you might sit. No, Game Time, you get an actual picture, which gives you a better view of what your seat will actually look like. And because you're a Dolphins fan, Dolphin Today subscriber, we've got $20 off for you using that promo code FINSCHAT. Now, it's PHINSCHAT. So FINS, PHINS, chat gets you $20 off your first purchase. So take the stress out of buying tickets. That's what Game Time's all about. Lowest prices, best deals, guarantee. Don't wait. Download the Game Time app today. Create that account and use code FINSCHAT for $20 off your first purchase. Now, terms do apply, but create that account, redeem the code using PHINSCHAT for 20 buckaroos off, and take the stress out of buying tickets. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. That's why I love Game Time. So, Dolphins moves that they made as it relates to the active roster. They signed two different players, starting with Mark Milton and the wide receiver Freddie Swain. Milton played at Baylor, was a cornerback, and actually spent some time with the Carolina Panthers before he was cut. And now, you know what? He could be a guy that fits in eventually at that cornerback position because we know that's a position group of weakness with this Miami Dolphins team. So, young guy, why not take a flyer on Mark Milton? I'm not saying he's going to come right in and be an immediate impact, but more depth added to the cornerback room. Now, as it relates to the wide receiver room, River Cracraft on injured reserve officially, so that means some roster adjustments necessary. Freddie Swain is a guy that's been on the Dolphins practice squad, spent the preseason with the Dolphins, and now is going to get a chance on the 53-man roster. Also, played college at Florida and was signed with Miami's practice squad. So again, a depth acquisition there to help this Miami Dolphins receiver room in the absence of River Cracraft. Week 5's matchup, we've talked about it. We've said it time and time again. The Dolphins are heavy favorites. We love the Dolphins at home in this get-right spot, this bounce-back spot. Week 4 is behind us. It's in the rearview mirror. We'll get another crack at the Buffalo Bills in Week 18 of the NFL. And you know what? There might be some divisional title implications in that game. I'm going to try and speak it into existence, but the Dolphins will have their revenge against the Bills soon enough. However, Week 5 is all about the G-men and kicking their ass because the Dolphins are the better team. Far and away. 11-point favorite. Make it 14. I don't care. I gave you my score prediction, but I want to know yours. Let me know in the comments. Predict the score of the Week 5 game. Dolphins versus the New York Giants. I'll give you mine one more time. Look, I think this is a 6 or 7 touchdown game for the Dolphins. So I'm saying 41-20, complete domination, once again by the best offense in the National Football League. I might sound overconfident, probably because I am. Listen, Mike McDaniel will have that team ready to play so they don't have to go through another humbling defeat. Tua said it to the media after the game on Sunday. Hey, maybe this team needed to be humbled. Maybe this was a little wake-up call for the Dolphins. I believe Week 4's loss was exactly that. That's why I think the Dolphins will win big on Sunday, 41-20.